Age of Empires 4, the long-awaited successor to a saga that redefined RTS or real-time strategy games, has taken the world by storm. Not for its innovation, but for its faithful recreation of an old game. The game has multiple civilizations that cover a lot of territory, from the longbowmen firing down at the prideful and chivalrous French knights, to the Mongols, looting and pillaging all of Asia and Eastern Europe. In this series of videos, we will cover the differences and gameplay choices that these civilizations have, and how their real-life counterparts developed. Today, we will be talking about one of the most unique civilizations in the game because of how much different they are from the rest, the Mongols.
If you strike me down, I will grow more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
First, let's take a look at the Strengths tab of the Mongols. The Mongols' civilization is a fearsome force. Because of their high mobility, one may not meet them in massive throngs, but even in small numbers, their army can outmaneuver enemies with ease. Their aggressive military production capabilities force the opponent to be on the defensive early. Mongols are a nomadic civilization with the ability to move their bases. Combined with the early access to cavalry units and speed granted from outposts, the Mongols reign supreme in flanking enemies and retreating quickly before enemies have a chance to catch up. They build up their economy with unique buildings like the stone mining ovu. The Mongols' need for resources for their army can trigger a dramatic battle for resources as they pursue total domination. The history of the Mongols is imbued in legend. Sadly, the only historical record we have of the early years of the mighty steppe empire is the secret story of the Mongols, the oldest surviving record of the Mongols that is written in their language. This story narrates the life of Genghis Khan from its humble beginnings as Temujin into his rise as Khan of all Mongols and his campaigns into China and Persia. The Mongols themselves were a confederation of tribes of Turkic origin that constantly fought over territory for their cattle. But how was that represented in their Dark Age? For starters, the Mongols started with a stable in the Dark Age that can produce light cavalry from age 1. This, as far as role-playing as the horse raiders from the steppes, makes the Mongols feel like a raid civilization. They also get a unique unit from the beginning, the Khan. This unique cavalry archer acts as both a scout and as a support unit that provides buffs to nearby units by activating a signal arrow. These arrows were used by Mongol generals and commanders to give orders or intel to the whole army. The meaning behind these arrows is a mystery, because most of the knowledge of the Mongols was lost after centuries of infighting and external forces. Having the Khan as a unique unit makes absolute sense, because after the decline of the Mongol Empire, several Khanates, meaning kingdoms with a Khan ruling over them, broke out from the main Mongolian authority in Karakoram. So if there were to be multiple players having multiple Khans, it would make sense. Both Khans and Scouts have access to the Scouting Falcon ability. This is a reference to how Mongols utilize these birds for recon and messaging. The Mongols can build an ovu. These sacred heaps are typically fashioned from nearby rocks, wood, and strips of colorful silk. In areas where rocks are too few, they can be even made from soil, sand, or tree branches. They vary in size and are often located in high places, such as at the top of mountains or within mountain passes. According to traditional Mongolian shamanism, each ovu is meant to be symbolic of a deity. So there are ovus that are dedicated to heavenly gods, mountain gods, gods of nature, ancestral spirits, and any other worldly entity you could think of. Slaughtered animals, incense sticks, and libations all serve as worthy sacrifices when one is worshipping at an ovu. Now let's compare it to the counterpart in game. The ovu in game generates stone when built over a stone outcropping. How does this relate to it being a place of worship? Well, I think we can agree that the obu being a structure of stone makes it a logical stone generation building. When it comes to the double production and enhanced technologies, I believe it has to do with the sacred nature of the shrine. Mongol markets have a unique mechanic called Silk Road, that depending on the amount of traders that the player has, it returns a percentage of gold in other resources. This is a reference to how, after conquering most of Asia, Mongols gained a lot of economic advantage by reigniting the Silk Road trade. The Mongols also have access to their multi-purpose unique drop-off building, the Gur. This building is based on the houses that these nomadic peoples use. The choice to make it a drop-off building was purely because of the lack of houses that this civilization has, and for gameplay purposes. To advance to the next age, the Mongols have access to two options, and this time, at least in certain situations, are both viable. The first one is called Deer Stones, which is based on the ancient megalithic structures found all throughout Siberia and Mongolia. They get that name because of the flying deer carved in them. These structures are heavily related to shamanism. In-game, they give a YAM network bonus to all units. The YAM network influence that towers and this landmark gives is referenced in a video for the Mongol campaign that I will leave linked in the description. On the other hand, the Silver Tree, which is a market that creates traders at half the time and half the cost. This landmark is based on a fountain with the same name that was placed in Karakorum, the former capital of the Mongol Empire. This fountain had the classy fermented mare's milk coming out of one of its holes. From the others, other alcoholic beverages from all around the world were available for anyone that visited the court of the Khan. During the Feudal Age, the Mongols gained access to the Mangudai, a unique horse archer that constantly fires at anything in their range. This unique unit is based on the elite military units of the Mongol Empire that came from the Mangud tribe. This high ranking was given to the Mongol vanguard after undergoing a harsh training process. This elite corps consisted of fast-firing horse archers specialized in hit-and-run tactics. In order to advance to the Castle Age, the Mongols have access to two options: the Kurultai, a landmark that heals and gives a damage buff when the Khan is present, that will change next patch to be a mobile healing platform. How does this relate to the real-life Kurultai? The real-life counterpart was a political and military council in which Khans and chiefs would gather to decide on important matters such as succession of leaders or the next military campaign. In this regard, having the Khan present to heal units makes sense. The other one is the Steppe Redoubt. According to the Age of Empires wiki, this is based on the wall of Karakoto. This city was at the crossroads of Karakorum, Shangdu, and Kumul, and was part of the Silk Road. This may be why it acts as a gear that returns more gold than a regular one. In Castle Age, Mongols unlock most of their strength. They gain access to the Traction Trebuchet, a unique trebuchet that does less damage but is more mobile and cheaper than the counterweight ones. This might be a reference to how they learned siege engineering after invading China and incorporated the learned tactics for their conquest in the Middle East and Eastern Europe. They also get the access to Lancers, that although they do not have any difference in stats and are not unique to the Mongols, are their most popular unit. There is a whole video devoted to their heavy cavalry that I will also leave in the description. Another noteworthy exception is that because of the shamanistic nature of Tengrism, the Mongols have shamans instead of monks or priests, and their production buildings are called prayer tents. These tents also have a throat singing sound when selected, a popular folkloric method of singing that the Mongols employed. Within the Mongol campaign, there is also a reference to this method of singing in a video that I will leave in the description below. In order to advance to the Imperial Age, the Mongols have two options. One of them is the White Stupa, which acts as an ovu but does not need a stone outcropping to generate stone. Their real-life counterpart could be either the White Stupa of Miaoying Temple, which is a stupa that was built during the Yuan dynasty of China, which was the Mongol dynasty which had Kublai Khan at the head. Its design is taken from Indian Buddhism and it means supreme stability. The other option for inspiration could be the Erden Su monastery, commissioned by Abtai Sain Khan, ruler of the Khalkha Mongols. After meeting with the third Dalai Lama, he declared that Tibetan Buddhism was to be the official religion of Mongolia. The stones from Karakorum ruins were used in its construction. The other landmark option is the Kaganet Palace, a landmark that spawns horsemen, lancers, or mangudai every 90 seconds. For inspirations, there could be many, as the amount of Khans along Central Asia's history is numerous, and it is hard to pin the design on one of them. It does seem that it has a white stupa on top to relate it to the Mongolian style. In the Imperial Age, Mongols do not gain access to any unique unit or bonus that is based on history. This last period of the Mongol Empire probably relates to the fall of the Khanates, and that might be why the Mongols are not stronger than the other civilizations that have both bonuses and or unique techs at this age. Their only advantage is given by their techs that allow them to return stone from their trading, and the ability to utilize their prayer tents as ovus to increase their unit production and enhance their technologies. The Mongol wonder is called Monument of the Great Khan, is based on the Genghis Khan equestrian statue, which was built in 2008 by the Mongolian government in honor of this great famous conqueror. The choice of making this the Mongol wonder, although ahistorical, was logical, as not many buildings survived after the fall of the Mongol Empire. So, did the Mongols live up to their historical counterpart? In my opinion, they did. Although in some aspect it seems as the Mongols are mystical horsemen that can move a lot around the map, it probably felt that way for the peoples that they conquer throughout their history. In terms of feel, this civilization is by far the most satisfying. Whenever you play as the Mongols, it feels like you are unleashing the might of Genghis Khan upon your enemies, and their nomadic start and movable buildings help tie that steppe conqueror nature that they have. The buildings and design closely resemble the tents that they use to this day. Overall, the developers made an amazing job at producing one of the best civilizations in the game. That is it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if so, please give it a like. They are free and they help me keep going with this little project I have. Hopefully, I get to release all of the civilization analysis before they release new ones. This was it. Deus Volt.